Welcome to today's video, how to write an English essay in 4 easy steps. Yes, it can be done. So step 1 is understanding what the question is asking you. Every English essay asks you the same thing. Why did the composer choose the techniques to create that text? What effect did they hope to achieve, and how did they want the responder to feel? Now, if you didn't understand half of those words, that's cool. We're going to go down to our definitions at the bottom. So the creator of the text is called the composer. They're the writer, the poet, the director, the playwright. They're the person that's making the choices about what's happening in the text. The techniques are metaphors, similes, close-up shots, lighting, costume, stage direction, etc. It's the choices that the composer makes. A text is whatever you're studying, so your novel, your poem, your play, your movie, your newspaper article, your web page, whatever. And finally, the person reading the text, the audience, the viewer, the reader, they're called the responder. So if we go back up again and we try to make sense of that, we're saying, why did the person who created it choose the choices that they did? What did they hope you would feel? So if I'm a director and I have a shot, a close-up shot of a little girl crying, why did I choose a close-up shot? What did I want the viewer to feel at that point? That's really all English essays are asking you. But the Board of Studies has asked you to answer it in the form of an essay. Now, most students see the word essay and they start crying and they're like, I don't know how to write an essay. Essays are so hard. But we're going to break them down for you. First thing you need to ask yourself is, what is an essay? Okay? An essay is just a way of structuring your ideas. Legit, that is all it is. It's a structure of an introduction, a body, and a conclusion throughout the whole essay. So the essay itself is structured as an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And each paragraph inside the essay is also structured as an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. And that's where most of the students get a little bit confused. It's keeping up with that with that structure of introduction, body, conclusion, introduction, body, conclusion. When you practice it, you'll find that even you texting your friends will be in an introduction, body, conclusion, because your mind will just be used to that structure. So now that we've understood what it's asking, step 2 is writing in the essay structure. So we have our introduction, which is our first paragraph. So it's going to be the first set of sentences that's going to introduce your essay to the marker. Your very first sentence is called a thesis statement, or your thesis statement sentence. Thesis means argument. So at the very beginning, your essay needs to have some sort of argument. It's not everything you've ever heard about the topic. You need to have a specific argument. The thesis statement summarizes in one sentence your entire essay. So I suggest you reword the question as a statement that sums up your main argument. Let's put that as an example. Say your question is saying, how does Shakespeare view predestination in Macbeth? Okay, what you would do is you would change that into one sentence that summarizes your main argument. So you would say, Shakespeare presents predestination as the main reason behind Macbeth's tragedy. Okay, so in that one sentence, you know that I'm going to argue that predestinate, like it wasn't Macbeth's will to do everything. Perhaps that the witches forced him to do everything, etc., etc. You know that that is my main argument, and all my other baby arguments are gonna stem from that. So your thesis statement summarized in one sentence I suggest you reword it. It's probably the easiest way of answering it. And then the rest of your sentences. So that's one sentence. You should have about 6 or 7 other sentences in that paragraph. It talks about your main arguments in your essay. This means that you must have prepared your essay, or at least made a brainstorm of what, or a plan of what you're going to be talking about. And my biggest suggestion to you is already prepare your arguments before you start writing. Otherwise, you won't be able to have an introduction. If you're still new to writing essays, there is a tip that you leave your introduction to last, just until you get writing it last. Obviously, it's always going to be at the top of your essay, but writing it last means that you already know what you've talked about. So some people just find that easier. That's up to you. It just, again, it comes with practice. So let's look at your body, which is your next series of paragraphs. Each paragraph is on one idea. You start with the most important points first, down to the least important. It's different to a narrative. You don't need to have, a climax towards the end. It's not a story. I had a student once who said to me, I like to leave the most important points towards the end because it creates suspense for the teacher. That's not an essay. That's a story. You're writing a story. You want to have the most important points first, and then down to the least important. And each paragraph is one idea. So your body paragraph should have a topic sentence first. It's what your paragraph is about. Okay? So your first sentence in the paragraph is about the witch's role in Macbeth, for example. That's going to be that. You know that you've done well if you read the first sentence of each paragraph and you are able to understand what your essay is about. That's when you know you've done it correctly. So you have your topic sentence, and then you have your TEE, evidence of your argument, TEE, evidence of your argument, TEE, evidence of your argument, and then you have a concluding sentence that summarizes your paragraph's argument and links it to the question. Okay? Now, your conclusion. There's an easy hack for the lazy. Take each of your topic sentences, tweak them, and that's your conclusion. Easy. For everyone else, it's just summarizing the main points of your essay. I highly suggest the lazy hack, though. Take each of your topic sentences. If you've written them correctly, they should be what you've argued about. Tweak them, and that's your conclusion. Life is easy. Now, if I lost you at TEE, I've actually created a TEE table for you down the bottom that we're going to go through together to explain step 3, which is have techniques. So I really love the song Omarion's Icebox. I'm not going to sing it to you, even though then this video will definitely go viral, but it will be for all the wrong reasons. There's lots of choices in Omarion's Icebox that try to lead to different things. So, for example, the technique of alliteration. In the example, fussin' and fightin'. The effect is, how does the technique make you feel? So you'd say the technique of alliteration in the example, fussin' and fighting, the harsh F sounds symbolize the severity of his emotions and his sadness. That's your TEE. That's how you use the TEE table. So let's go to an easier one if I've sort of lost you here. The technique of first person in the example, I know that it's my fault, helps connect the responder to the persona. Okay? Colloquial language in example 8. Colloquial language makes the song accessible to the responder, increasing the connection to the responder. So already you know by these 3 techniques that you are arguing in this essay that the responder wants the composer wants the responder to connect to the persona. Okay? So, let's look at repetition and metaphor. I got an icebox where my heart used to be. The repetition of the metaphor, I got an icebox where my heart used to be, emphasizes the metaphor, which demonstrates the severity of his pain. Close-up shot. Ms. D's face as she cries in the scene where her husband leaves her emphasizes the pain she suffers as her husband leaves and allows the responder to have empathy towards her. Now, you're going to do this for each of the techniques that you are analyzing, and you are having them throughout your essay, but you have to structure them so that you have an idea for each paragraph. When I was first starting to write essays, what I used to do was I used to have subheadings for each paragraph, and then I'd rub out the subheading or I'd delete it if it was typed. That just got me into the habit of getting used to writing essays. Step 4 is checklisting that you've done all the above. So question 1, have you answered the question? When you think you are ready, you can tick that off. Question 2, do you have a thesis or argument? Question 3, does your essay have an introduction, a body, and conclusion? Question 4, is your essay in paragraphs? Question 5, if the marker was to read the first sentence of each paragraph, would he or she have an idea about what your essay is about? Question 6, is your paragraph structured as topic sentence, body examples, and concluding sentence that links to your original question? Question 7, does your paragraph flow from the previous paragraph? Question 8, have you used quotes examples from the text to support your arguments? Question 9, have you written the essay in third person? So you never write I or we. You always just write it as a third person. Question 10, have you used formal language? Question 11, if you have contradictions in your argument, take them out. Question 12, have you explored the themes and issues through the techniques? Question 13, if you're using other related texts, have you linked it back to your core text, to your main topic? This is mainly for the area of study, but it's relevant if you have an essay about more than one text. Have you linked them back to each other and, of course, to your main topics? So I do hope that that was somewhat helpful. If you like, I can model an essay for you and model how to actually write them. I just want to do another thing to show you what I meant in one section. So if we just go to a sort of new page, one way that I have done in the past is I will draw boxes. Let's see if this works. You can tell this is a professional thing. Okay, it's not going to work. So just pretend I have more than one box. And in this box, I'm going to write topic sentence, my technique example effects, my conclusion, and I will just make this box for each paragraph and I will write it out so it's just sort of scaffolded. If you're in the beginning stages of writing essays, this could be helpful for you. So just write, a summary. The summary of what you are arguing. And then you just write your examples and then your conclusion. So try this, see if this helps, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Don't forget, talk nerdy.